This is Sally Morgan, UK stage medium. And now, a UK headline. The Daily Mail pays £125,000 damages plus costs to TV psychic Sally Morgan over charlatan report. The Daily Mail has agreed to pay TV psychic Sally Morgan £125,000 in damages, as well as legal costs, over a 2011 story, which accused her of being a charlatan. The settlement comes ahead of an expected libel trial in the long-running case. Her solicitor Graham Atkins read out a statement at the High Court this morning, outlining the terms of the agreed settlement. He said that Morgan was a psychic who has performed over 600 shows at theaters and venues, and also appeared on television. Following a theater performance in Dublin in 2011, an article appeared in the Daily Mail, in the context of a general attack on psychics as being charlatans, he said. He added that it accused Mrs. Morgan specifically of having used a hidden earpiece during her performance in order to receive instructions from her team, which she then repeated on stage, as if she had received them from the spirit world. The article thereby suggested that Mrs. Morgan had deliberately and dishonestly perpetrated a scam on her audience in Dublin. He said the suggestion that Mrs. Morgan had cheated her Dublin audience by using an earpiece had originally arisen during a phone-in program on Irish radio, when two ladies who had attended the Dublin performance mentioned on air that they had been sitting at the back of the auditorium and thought they had heard two crew members saying something, which Mrs. Morgan had then repeated on stage. Following this, Mrs. Morgan publicly stated that the suggestion she had cheated using an earpiece was nonsense, as did the theater itself, which put out a very clear press statement denying any scam. The crew members who were said to be part of the scam were subcontracted by the theater and were not members of Mrs. Morgan's team. Despite these denials, the suggestions were repeated by the Daily Mail in an article written by the upstart magician Paul Zenon, which was published in both the online and hard copy issues of the newspaper on the 22nd of September, 2011. He said the allegation Morgan had cheated her audience was completely false and defamatory of her and had caused her enormous distress. The Daily Mail has now accepted the allegation was untrue, he said, and agreed to pay substantial damages and libel costs. Legal costs are likely to be substantial in view of the fact that the case was on the brink of going to a 3-week trial, which had been set to start this month. Solicitor for the Daily Mail, Jordan, said that the paper withdraws the suggestion that Mrs. Morgan used a secret earpiece at her Dublin show in September 2011 to receive messages from offstage, thereby cheating her audience, which it accepts is untrue. It apologizes unreservedly to Mrs. Morgan for publishing the allegation. Laughing out loud, fraudulent allegations of fraud have been used by numerous magicians for free publicity for more than 100 years. Medium bashing works. It makes big money. Realize, this startup magician, named in the article, Paul Zenon, has achieved free worldwide publicity simply by making a fraudulent claim of fraud toward a medium. In fact, he was probably paid to produce the article. The libel case went against him and a UK newspaper pays the massive damages and court costs, which is likely paid for by insurance anyway. So simply by making a false accusation toward a medium, the magician has got priceless worldwide publicity at no cost to himself whatsoever, online and in solid print. It's a neat trick, don't you think? Laughing out loud. Now the other bit of the scam is that thousands of very gullible pseudo-skeptics, such as deputies of James Randi, will send donations to that magician Paul Zenon to help the fight against crooked mediums. How gullible can they be, these skeptics? So the crafty magician wins 3 ways. Free publicity globally. The newspaper pays the defamation costs, and he receives a windfall of donations from gullible skeptics. Magicians have done this for 100 years. Dunninger was the first. Houdini was the second. More than 10 others played their skeptic following for the fools that they are. Randi is the most prominent today, just carrying on the same old magician scam. Tax-free millions he receives at his educational foundation. Ho-ho. Paul Zenon will likely achieve the same fraudulent income just by calling a medium a fraud annually. It's just too easy to fool gullible pseudoskeptics into sending their hard-earned cash to a fraudulent magician. Oddly, it doesn't seem to matter whether Sally is genuine or not. The money flows to the magician from the skeptic, no matter what.